While most of the world lives and breathes in the sunlight, there exists a hidden side of America that remains in the shadows, both literally and historically. Mysterious tunnels, hidden bunkers, ghost towns beneath the feet of unsuspecting crowds. These are places buried with secrets, stories, and purposes ranging from military operations to hand-dug gardens. And most intriguing of all, many of these places still stand, or rather, exist below our feet. Today, we're exploring 30 impressive underground locations across the Americas, including Canada and even remote Greenland, each with its own history, function, and fascinating details. Cheyenne Mountain Complex, Colorado, USA. Carved into the heart of a mountain in Colorado Springs, this massive military complex began construction in 1961 at the height of the Cold War. With armored doors weighing over 20 tons and its own power generation and air filtration systems, the site was designed to withstand nuclear attacks. For decades, it housed the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, and still maintains strategic functions related to space surveillance and air defense. The structure sits about 2,000 feet inside the mountain, with wide tunnels and rooms suspended on springs to absorb shocks. Raven Rock Mountain Complex, Pennsylvania, USA, known as the Underground Pentagon. This complex, carved inside the mountain in Liberty Township, began construction in 1951, during the early fears of nuclear war. Officially called Site R, it serves as an alternate command center for the Department of Defense. Though shrouded in secrecy, it's known that the location can house thousands of people in case of national emergency. The entrance is discreet, but the internal structure is impressive. Extensive corridors, communication centers, and complete living areas, all inside solid rock. The Greenbrier Bunker, West Virginia, USA. Beneath the luxurious Greenbrier Resort, a secret was kept for over 30 years. A bunker built to house members of Congress in case of nuclear attack. Designed in 1958 and operated in secret until being revealed by a news report in 1992, the bunker included dormitories, meeting rooms, a medical clinic, and supply stockpiles. Today, guided tours are available, showcasing many of the original equipment like vintage transmitters and massive steel doors. Los Angeles Prohibition Tunnels, California, USA. During the 1920s, while the dry law prohibited the sale of alcoholic beverages, a network of tunnels beneath Los Angeles became a smuggling route. The tunnels connected bars, hotels, and saloons, allowing illegal drinks to circulate discreetly. With the end of Prohibition, the tunnels fell into disuse, but they still exist. Some have been rediscovered by urban explorers and tour guides, with reports of antique objects, graffiti, and even preserved secret entrances. Nashville Tunnels, Tennessee, USA. Little known even to locals, Nashville's underground tunnels connected speakeasies, stations, and administrative buildings during Prohibition. Though not as extensive as those in Los Angeles, these shadowy corridors helped keep the musical and bohemian scene of the city alive. Today, some of these passages are blocked, but others remain accessible through organized visits, serving as testimony to the rebellious past of the country. Music capital, underground Atlanta, Georgia, USA in the 1920s. With urban growth and the elevation of streets to prevent flooding, much of downtown Atlanta ended up being swallowed by taller constructions. What was once street level became basement, and eventually an underground city. For years, underground Atlanta was revitalized as a commercial and tourist center, with shops, bars, and art spaces. Although it has experienced ups and downs, the location still symbolizes the unexpected urban transformation caused by practical necessity. Seattle Underground, Washington, USA. After a devastating fire in 1889, Seattle decided to rebuild its streets one floor higher, accidentally creating a ghost town beneath the new city. The old shops, sidewalks, and facades were left behind, transforming the underground into a reliquary of old Seattle. Today, you can walk through these abandoned streets on guided tours, passing by buried storefronts, original signage, and bizarre stories from the era. Old Sacramento Underground, California, USA like Seattle. Sacramento also raised its streets to contain flooding. The result? An underground layer with partially buried buildings and entire forgotten streets. The site has been restored and is now part of a historical tour showing what the city was like during the gold rush, with original facades and reconstructed environments. With period furniture, Forestier Underground Gardens, California, USA. Between 1906 and 1946, a single man, Baldassare Forestier, a Sicilian immigrant, hand-dug a vast underground garden in Fresno. Inspired by Roman catacombs, he created corridors, rooms, orchards, and leisure areas to escape the scorching heat of the region. The site has fruit trees growing through openings to the surface, windows carved into the soil, and even an ancient natural ventilation system. Today, it stands as a monument to human determination and creativity. Bluegrass Underground, Tennessee USAA cave transformed into a concert hall. The caverns where the famous Bluegrass Underground takes place is located in Pelham and combines natural acoustics with dramatic lighting. The space gained notoriety for hosting underground musical performances with a unique atmosphere. Besides concerts, the location also offers cave tours and special events, making it one of the most unusual musical tourism experiences in the United States. 11. Louisville Mega Cavern, Kentucky, USA. Beneath Louisville exists a deactivated limestone mine that became a mega cavern with multiple uses. With over 100 acres underground, it houses everything from warehouses to one of the largest underground zip lines in the world. During Christmas, the site is decorated with lights in drive-through style, while in other periods of the year, it offers bicycle rides, trails, and exhibitions. A perfect combination of adventure and urban repurposing. Path Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Toronto has the largest commercial underground city in the world, with over 19 miles of tunnels interconnecting buildings, stations, and shopping centers. During the harsh Canadian winter, Path transforms into the city's main pedestrian route. With more than 200 stores, the system is so extensive it has its own signage, maps, and even themed zones. It's possible to spend the entire day without stepping onto the icy streets, enjoying restaurants, galleries, and entire markets underground. Subtropolis, Missouri, USA. Imagine an entire industrial park inside a cave. That's exactly what happens in Kansas City, where the old limestone mine became Subtropolis, an underground space with more than 55 million square feet, leased to logistics companies, archives, film storage, and even government services. There were constant climate with natural temperatures between 65 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit makes the location ideal for material preservation. It's considered the largest underground business park in the world. Crystal City Underground, Missouri, USA. In the same state as Subtropolis, Crystal City repurposed another limestone mine to create a tourist and recreational space with underground lakes, kayaking areas, and even live music events. The underground city includes boat rides, artificial lighting, and is frequently used as a filming location. The space is also planned for corporate events and fairs, transforming an abandoned cave into an impressive multifunctional hub. Permafrost Tunnel, Alaska, USA, operated by the U.S. Army. This tunnel, excavated in the permafrost of Fairbanks, is a frozen time capsule. Created in 1963, the site serves to study frozen soils, mammoth fossils, and the effects of climate change. The interior maintains extremely low temperatures, preserving organic remains from thousands of years ago. It's not open to the public, but its discoveries are frequently published in scientific journals and used in engineering and archaeological projects. Old North Church Crypt, Massachusetts, USA, located in Boston. This church is famous for the phrase, "one if by land, two if by sea," from the American Revolution. But few know that beneath the historic structure lies a crypt Built in the 18th century, it served as a burial place for hundreds of Bostonians. Among them, patriots of the Revolution. The crypt houses more than 1,100 remains, organized in niches and stacked coffins. It can be visited during historical tours that mix colonial architecture with macabre stories from the era. Brooklyn Atlantic Avenue Tunnel, New York, USA. Discovered in the 1980s by Bob Diamond, this railway tunnel dating from 1844 is considered the oldest underground railway tunnel in the world. It was closed just a few years after being built, and for more than a century remained forgotten. Diamond fought to prove its existence, and for a time, the tunnel was opened for guided tours. Today, access is closed again for safety reasons, but the story of its rediscovery remains fascinating. Camp Century, Greenland built in secret by the USA under Greenland's ice sheet in the 1950s. Camp Century was officially a scientific research center. In practice, it was part of the secret military project Iceworm, whose objective was to install camouflaged nuclear missiles under the ice. With tunnels excavated in the polar ice cap itself and powered by a portable nuclear reactor, Camp Century was abandoned in the 1960s. The melting of the glaciers, however, threatens to expose its waste, reigniting debates about the Cold War. Legacy. Defen Bunker, Ontario, Canada. On the outskirts of Ottawa, this bunker, built between 1959 and 1961, would have been the Canadian government's headquarters in case of nuclear war. Named in honor of then Prime Minister John Diefenbaker, the site is now a national museum with long corridors, communication areas, dormitories, and intact meeting rooms. The Defen Bunker offers visitors a real immersion in the tense climate of the Cold War. Portland-Shanghai tunnels, Oregon, USA. During the 19th and early 20th centuries, tunnels beneath Portland connected bars, docks, and hotels, supposedly used for human trafficking and smuggling, especially in the process known as Shanghaiing, where men were kidnapped and sold as sailors. The tunnels gained a macabre fame. Although there's debate about the full truth of these stories, the tunnels exist and today are part of guided tours that mix history and urban legends. Montreal's RESO, Quebec, Canada, also known as La Ville Souterraine. Montreal houses one of the largest urban underground networks in the world, with more than 20 miles of tunnels. Unlike Toronto, RESO is geared toward both transportation and culture and leisure, interconnecting universities, museums, shopping centers, and metro stations. During the harsh winter, it's literally a parallel underground city that receives hundreds of thousands of people daily. Cincinnati Subway, Ohio, USA. In the 1920s, Cincinnati began construction on what would be its subway system, but the work was abandoned due to lack of funds and political changes. The result? Immense tunnels and unfinished stations that remain to this day beneath the city's soil. Although it never transported passengers, the ghost subway has become a target of historical interest and is occasionally opened for guided visits. Kak Low Line Lab, New York, USA. Inspired by the success of the elevated High Line Park, the Low Line is a proposal to create the world's first underground park in the basement of Manhattan. The chosen location? An abandoned trolley station. The project includes the use of concentrated solar light technology to feed plants and create a natural environment below ground. The prototype, called Low Line Lab, operated for a few years as a testing and exhibition space, fueling hope that one day the complete park will become reality. Catacombs of St. Patrick's Basilica, New York, USA, under St. Patrick's Old Cathedral. In Manhattan, there's a network of catacombs where important names in New York's Catholic history were buried. The space, with tunnels and mortuary chambers, is accessed by silent candlelit tours. With Gothic architecture and moving stories of faith and immigration, the catacombs offer a unique view of the spiritual and funerary side of the city. Sudbury, Neutrino Observatory, Snow Lab, Ontario, Canada, located more than 1.2 miles below the surface. in an old nickel mine. This underground laboratory is one of the deepest in the world. It studies particles called neutrinos, practically undetectable, which require total isolation from solar and cosmic radiation. The site also studies dark matter and quantum phenomena. Its access is restricted to scientists, but the impact of its discoveries is global. Iron Mountain, Pennsylvania, USA. This former mine became a maximum security underground vault, where ultra-sensitive documents, classic films, tapes with business data, and even historical records, such as the originals of the Treaty of Versailles, are stored. With strict humidity and temperature control, the structure also houses servers and digital backups of major corporations. Drumheller Tunnels, Alberta, Canada. These tunnels were used by Chinese workers to escape inspection during the construction of railways in Canada in the late 19th century. Long forgotten, they were restored as a tourist attraction with exhibitions about immigrant life and the harsh conditions of the time. Moose Jaw Tunnels, Saskatchewan, Canada. These tunnels gained fame for supposedly having been used by Al Capone during Prohibition to transport drinks from Canada to the USA. Although the legend has questionable contours, the tunnels really did serve immigrant workers and today are part of an interactive theatrical experience. Atomitat, Kansas, USA. During the Cold War, a businessman built his own anti-nuclear bomb house, but with luxury. Located in Salina, the Atomitat includes a complete underground residence with living room, kitchen, bathroom, and typical 1960s decor, all prepared to withstand explosions. Today, the site is a time capsule of paranoia and vintage design, sometimes made available for tours and events. 30. City of Ember, underground movie set, Nova Scotia, Canada. Although fictional, the underground city from the film City of Ember was partially built in real caves in Nova Scotia. The set design transformed the caves into a fictional metropolis where the population lives in darkness after civilizational collapse. The structure remains as a sporadic attraction, especially for fans of cinema and post-apocalyptic settings. From Cold War bunkers to gardens dug by solitary hands, from scientific research centers to cities hidden beneath busy streets, these underground locations are silent witnesses to eras of fear, creativity, innovation, and survival. They tell stories that aren't in museums or school books, but that, even when buried, continue to pulse. If you enjoy diving into these layers of history and discovering what's behind, or rather beneath, what we see, you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like, comment on which of these places impressed you most, and share this video with that person who loves a good story hidden in the depths of the earth.